Welcome to the Genesis of the Doctor podcast, where we're taking a journey through the time and space of the history of Doctor Who. I'm Tris.
And I'm Joy.
So for today's episode, we're watching the 5th and 6th serials of Season 14 with the Robots of Death and the Talons of Weng-Chiang. One of these stories was good. The other one, on the other hand, I think we have a lot to say on, but we'll see. First off, though, the Robots of Death. So this was classic Who Among Us.
Yeah.
Oh god, this was actually a really fascinating story, all things considered.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it, but it was okay. I liked it.
I think it had a lot of really fun ideas, and I think some of the supporting cast were actually really good with their acting.
Yeah.
And there were some good twists, but it wasn't like an incredible episode, no.
Yeah. It's basically Agatha Christie in space.
Yeah.
Is what they were doing.
I think what was so shocking is how long it took to convince, yes, the robots could kill.
Yeah.
Like, only one person kind of considered it, and it was, I guess, the person that was also already terrified of robots, which is kind of ridiculous. He had the biggest denial of it, and, like, the biggest dramatic, like, realization of when it happened, it just broke him. Whereas everyone else, as soon as they saw something with the robots were off, it was just oh god, it really is them. Maybe it's not impossible. So it's kind of funny how overdramatic his robophobia, as they call it. That's like,
yep.
his robophobia, as they called it, was pretty bad.
I found it a bit weird how that character is he's just insane for the rest of the story after he sees a robot with blood on it.
And then they don't do anything with that the rest of the story.
Yeah. He's just a hassle to deal with. And he's like the undercover agent that was sent there to investigate something going wrong. Okay, you just have to let his robot assistant do all the work.
It's very strange because they never actually do anything working together either. Like, we learned they were working together very late.
Yeah. I found it a little interesting how, like, from our perspective, we're just having to figure out, like, are the robots doing this on their own, or is someone making them do it? Like, obviously, we know that the robots are killing people, but we don't know, like, what caused it. And that's what we're waiting to find out. And then it turns out one of the other peoples just thinks that he's a robot. Basically.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I did like how the doctor brings up bumblebees are incapable of flight again.
That was very funny.
The doctor did.
I wasn't expecting that. It kind of just came out of nowhere, so it was quite funny.
Yeah. I also loved when he offers a jelly baby and they're slapped out of his hand. He's like, a simple no thank you.
Yeah, a simple no thank you. The humor was pretty good.
Yeah. I did quite like Leela in the story, too, where she's, refuses to let people hit her, and she's threatening to cripple the guy after he hits her.
I really liked how she handled any time she was in danger, but I also really liked how her instincts and her experience allowed her to identify, for example, oh yeah, he is not quite what he seems to be. He is an undercover agent because, as she said, he moves like a hunter. Like, she's able to identify who's off, basically, based on her own instincts, which I think was a really great way to tie in what she's used to, even though this is a vastly unfamiliar world for her.
Yeah. And then the doctor's, like, mocking her sixth sense, and then the ship crashes, and she's like, oops. Should have listened to you. She's definitely an interesting character already. How different she is from all the other companions.
I like it. She offers completely different insight, and I like how there's humor in things that, the viewer would find normal Earth things, but she doesn't know, and the way it's taught isn't, like, just to diminish her. But it's like, oh yes, she wouldn't know this, but they play it for laughs. They do it more in the next story,
Yeah.
but it definitely already happens a bit here in this one.
Yeah.
I guess my main thing I have written here for this story is there came a point near the end when Dask decided, all right, we don't need to keep it a secret anymore. Just go kill all the rest of them. And I have it here in my notes that there were enough robots the entire time. They could have just done it to this degree the whole time. I don't really understand what the point of there being a secret to it all and a murder mystery to it all from the killings, from the perspective of the killings. With whatever the goal was, why play it off as a murder mystery at first?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I guess maybe it's like how he was trying to cover it up and stuff. Like maybe if he got out of there, he would have to be able to like argue like that the robots just went crazy or something. But I guess he was wanting like all robots everywhere to start killing people, so I don't know.
Yeah, he wanted it to become like a revolution of like the robots everywhere will kill everyone. This was the start. I think it had to do with not enough of them were converted, but
Yeah, I guess.
then it begs the question of why was it taking him so long? He could have, because we saw at one point he eventually goes for the one in command, and that's the one that then starts ordering all the other robots to do that, because essentially the one in command being infected means all the rest of them are. Or, not
Yeah.
infected, but you know what I mean. But why not have just gone for that one first? He had easy access to do so.
And it probably would have gone better if he just waited until he had enough of them converted and then
Yeah.
start the killing.
Yeah. Because all that happened otherwise was suspicion being cast constantly made it harder for him to get his work done.
Yeah.
Towards doing that, because every time he was seen with the robots, at least one other person was like, oh, what are you doing? My job? Okay. Because they all started getting very suspicious of each other.
Yeah. He definitely really didn't think it out all that well. You also have to wonder if he's trying to do like a whole revolution, like why is he doing it like on one mining ship? Like why is he here and not like in the city where he can do more stuff there?
Maybe to set some sort of example. Try it out small scale to see if it'll work before going large scale.
Yeah, I guess.
But it's definitely still a bit strange. I'd also want to shout out Yuvanov, the commander. What I actually thought he was a great flip of a character.
Yeah.
Because you really think he's either behind her or so apathetic to what's going on at first that he's probably just gonna die. But then when it gets to the later half of the story and he properly becomes involved, and then you learn everything else about him, you're like, okay, he's actually not that bad, and I like the turn his character has taken.
Yeah. And they give a lot of depth to his character, especially with like Zilda's brother,
Yeah.
who died on a previous trip.
And then, he was blamed for it as a murder, and it was covered up, but that's not actually what happened. It was the robophobia, as we saw, which is fascinating. But my only problem with it is I feel like his character doesn't seem as haunted by that as he, consistently so. Like, near the end, he definitely really did seem like he was still haunted by that, but that didn't really come across early on, especially when other deaths started happening. That feels like something that should have kicked in as soon as the first death happened. But I guess to play up the suspicion of everyone, they had to make him seem like he was more apathetic to it all.
Yeah, because they probably wanted him to be like the main suspect for the first part.
And he definitely was. He definitely was.
Also, a fun fact is that they call robophobia Grimwade syndrome, and Grimwade is a production assistant. So they're joking that, and the production assistant hated working on stories that involved robots. So they jokingly named it after that guy.
That's pretty funny, actually.
And I think it was just Tom Baker just he just called it Grimwade's theory syndrome, and it wasn't in the script.
And just kind of
Tom
stuck.
Baker just did that.
That's funny.
And when the Doctor was being covered by sand, it was actually cereal that he was being covered by.
Oh, that's even funnier, actually.
Cocoa Pops cereal is what they were using, because I guess it's cheaper than getting a bunch of sand.
Yeah, I guess so.
Probably
In
safer,
the
too.
grand scheme of things, probably safer. For how covered he had to get, yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really have strong feelings on this story. I definitely thought it was better than the next one, but...
Yes. um, some other notes I have here. I really like the sets they used here. Actually, I thought they were quite
Yeah.
nice, especially like early on when they're in a part of the ship they're really not supposed to be in. They had a lot here. Actually, I was pretty surprised by it, and they all seemed pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah.
Um,
The robot suits were also not too bad. Although, like, the feet were just like aluminum foil on shoes.
yeah.
But, like, the faces were nice.
I have written here, I like that the robot costumes are like a gradient. The top half is great, and then the further down you go, the worse quality it gets.
Yeah.
It's pretty silly. They clearly had fun destroying the headpieces, too, because they did it quite a
Yeah.
bit. Quite violent, to be honest.
Yep. Also have to shout out the scene at the very beginning of the Doctor explaining how the TARDIS works using cubes.
Yeah.
That was a great scene.
That was actually a really good scene, yeah.
And it's like one of the few times where they try to explain how it works, too. I also loved Leela playing with the yo-yo, thinking that that's making the TARDIS work.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was the idea of overwhelming her with technology and getting her
Yeah.
to have the idea of fun.
And then the Doctor says he can control the TARDIS 9 times out of 10. Well, 7 times. Maybe 5. Never mind.
Yeah. That feels pretty accurate. That feels
Yep.
pretty accurate. I will say, while the pacing of the story as a whole was actually pretty good, all things considered, I really didn't like literally the last scene. Like how it went from here's the wrap up into immediate, all right, step in the TARDIS, credits. Like it felt
Yeah.
like you could have used one more scene, but it feels like they even wrote in a way to say like, no, we don't need one more scene. Oh, we're gonna leave before all this stuff happens because, oh well, that's their problem to deal with. It's like, what
Yeah.
you're not even gonna say goodbye to them? Like, a lot just happened here. You're not gonna help correct, you're not gonna help set them on the right path from here on. Like, that's quite surprising.
Yeah. Doctor just runs away. Just
Yeah, but
doesn't
somehow
want to deal
even
with
faster than usual.
it. Yeah. I did find it very funny, though, that they defeated the villain by making him inhale helium. That's how they did it.
I did want to ask how you felt about that.
A
Because
very
I
funny
think
way to do it.
it's a very like cartoony answer.
Yeah. Make him inhale helium so the robots don't recognize his voice.
It's just funny too because I feel like that's such a flaw with the robots in general that they will like only answer to voice prints.
Yeah.
That I'm kind of surprised something like this didn't happen sooner with a flaw like that.
And you would think he would just, like, make sure it's in the coding that they can recognize him, but no. He didn't
Recognize
think
him.
that
Well, I mean,
far.
arrogance, I suppose.
Yeah. And this story does have a bunch of sequels in different mediums as well.
Oh, really?
The writer wrote a novel, and then somebody pitched him, like, audio dramas, and then those audio dramas were not produced by Big Finish, but, like, somebody just produced them on their own. And then
Alright,
Big
then.
Finish has done, like, there's like a 6-part Big Finish series more recently, though, called Robots, which is mostly about these robots. And then the funny thing I found is that there was also a stage play in the early 2010s that was just this story retold, but without the Doctor, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
It's a different time traveler was, like, flung back in time to just do what the Doctor was doing, essentially.
That's kind of funny, yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of sequels to this. The novel takes place like in the city where like all these people are from, and then there's like a whole audio drama story about that city as well. And then yeah, Big Finish did a bunch recently too.
Huh. Okay. I did not. This is not one I thought would have launched a bunch of spin-offs like that. That's in continuation.
I think it's just because like the writer
Interesting.
just wanted to do more, and he's only written 3 stories, so this is this is one you can build off of pretty easily.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
It is also, I think it was rated number 4 in the Doctor Who magazine polls of Fourth Doctor stories, so it's a highly beloved one as well.
I mean, it was a good story. I don't know if I'd say it's one of my favorites from Tom Baker, but I did, like I said, I did really like a lot of the character acting was very strong.
Yeah.
And I think it really was like a good, charming performance from Tom Baker and Leela together.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I generally liked it, but I didn't love it. This one.
Yeah. I think I'd say the same.
Yeah, I'd say the earlier ones of the season I liked more.
Well, I think that brings us to a slightly more controversial story. The Talons of Weng-Chiang. Which, oh boy, where do we start with this one?
I definitely didn't like it.
I was talking to my husband about this story a little bit because even he has heard of this one because it's a little infamous for, you know, it's little bits of racism, you know, you might have caught on to that.
Yeah.
Because like, okay, yeah, you have a white guy playing an Asian character. That's already not a good look at all. However, having gone into going into this, I genuinely thought maybe that was going to be the worst of it.
Yeah.
That it was just, oh, it's a white guy playing an Asian character. Like, all right. I mean, they literally picked John Bennett, one of the whitest sounding names, but
yeah.
all right, maybe it's just that. I mean, maybe we can look past that. Oh no. This was not okay.
It was very difficult to get invested in the story when, like, every 10 minutes a character has to say something racist. It just keeps happening. And, like, people are using slurs in front of the Doctor, and he's just not saying anything. It's so weird.
It would be one thing if it was a period piece going for historical accuracy that the Doctor disagrees with, like we see in modern day happen.
Yeah.
We see that in modern Doctor Who sometimes, where the Doctor goes back in the past with certain companions, and he's like, okay, be warned, you might encounter this. And it happens, and he's just like, hey, that's not okay. And people from that time, they're like, it's not? And the Doctor's like, no. And typically you kind of move on, or they really make sure to paint the offenders in bad light. That didn't happen here. Yeah. That did not happen here.
The Doctor even, like, jokingly joined in on the racism at one point, where he's like, well, they were Chinese ruffians.
He does it a couple times, it feels like. He does it a couple times. And I think one of the worst offenders to this isn't even something that one of the characters did. Well, it is. But it's more so a problem of it was so clearly racist at the written level. To have the actor for Lee Sen say to the Doctor, I know we all look the same. Even if it's said in like a frustrated, eye-rolling, passive manner. However, it was not said like that.
Yeah.
Which makes it even worse.
It's also so weird how, like, they do have a bunch of Chinese actors in the story. They just decided the main Chinese character in the story has to be a white guy. Then, like, all of his underlings are actually Chinese people.
Oh, God, it was such a mess.
And Chang was actually played by the same actor as Finch from Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I didn't realize that.
Really?
Yeah, he was General Finch from Invasion of Dinosaurs, who's like the main military guy in that story. He looks
Jeez. All right.
very different under the
Well, yeah.
the
And
yellow
he's
face, obviously,
and
and
he's
without the
putting
mustache.
on and he's putting on the very heavy fake accent.
Yeah,
So
very stereotypical accent there.
yeah, it's not a good look. I think what really really sucks and bothers me about this is the Phantom of the Opera premise is so fascinating. Like actually,
Yeah,
and it is so brutally undermined by how disgusting a lot of the story was.
yeah. Like sometimes to an extent you can overlook problematic elements in the story, but I feel like in this story it's way too egregious to just overlook it.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, it's so egregious.
I knew it was going to be a bad time when, in episode 1, a character just casually uses a slur and the doctor's just quiet when it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. It'd be one thing if that happens and then, like, afterwards, like, Leela asks about it or the doctor makes a comment about it, like, away from them. Just to, like, have the quote-unquote, the hero of the story, the doctor, practically be able to look at the camera and say, don't say these things, kids.
Yeah.
That, just somewhere. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
However, this was, what, the mid-70s? Late 70s?
Yeah. 1977.
Yeah, this was the late 70s, and the BBC thought this was okay. So,
I will say though, even at the time, it got in trouble a little bit from people.
because they took it too far.
I know,
To be honest.
like a couple years later, it was getting banned from like in Ontario. They banned it from studios or
Yeah.
channels in like 1980, and then like in the early 80s in Los Angeles, it was also banned from channels because it was just too offensive. So even at the time, it
really
was pretty
is.
bad.
Yeah, that's why it baffles me so bad that they didn't once have the doctor do something like that.
Yeah.
And again, if it was just the yellow face, that's still bad, but like that's still bad. But
Yeah.
you could find better parts of the episodes beyond that. At least you can look at that as an isolated aspect of this was a fault of the time in the story. But that's
Yeah.
not all it was. It was so rampant all throughout that this is the only thing about the episode we've talked about so far.
Definitely very weird to me that this is like one of the most beloved Fourth Doctor stories in spite of it all.
Why? Like, what about
Yeah,
it specifically?
I don't
The
know.
fact that time agents get mentioned for the first time? Like,
It's like I feel like once you look past the racism, it's still just like a very it's a pretty simple story that like doesn't
Yeah.
do anything that the other stories didn't do.
you said RTD really liked a quote from this. Do you remember?
He
do you
said
know
that-
what that quote is?
I don't know if it was a specific quote, but just like the dialogue in general, like the period piece dialogue in episode 1 he was praising. I don't know if he said a specific quote or anything. But just like he really liked the dialogue in the first episode, and like none of it really stood out to me.
None of it
Well,
really stood
in a
out
good
to
way,
me.
I should say.
Yeah, in a positive way, none of it really stood out to me. I mean, normally I like when Doctor Who does period pieces. I think you can have a lot of fun with those. But I really don't think this did a good job on any of those fronts. I guess
Yeah.
visually, like the costuming, I liked Leela's costume and the fact that she didn't like it. The Doctor's outfit was fun.
Yeah.
But like most of the sets, most of them were indoors or in tunnels, and you couldn't really tell the time period.
Yeah. It is funny having the Doctor dressing as Sherlock Holmes. This is like
That was fun.
it's the only story where you never see his scarf that he's in.
Wow. I did also I liked the small interactions between Leela and Professor Lightfoot.
Yeah.
Because I did think it was funny. You're in the 1800s, and here's the man that expects a lady to act a certain way, and here's how she's acting. and he's not so put off by it, but he's like fascinated by it. That
Yeah.
he like plays along in some areas, and in some other areas he teaches her what's like a bit more polite. There was something about all of that I thought was fascinating character dynamic that added depth to both of them that I thought was good.
Yeah. I loved the scene when Leela just grabs the meat off the plate and starts eating it, and then
Yeah, that's
Lightfoot,
exactly what I was thinking
he
of.
watches her for a moment, and then he joins in and just does it as well.
I like how he was gonna do it normally, then looks at her, sees how she's looking at him, goes, well, I don't want to offend her, and then he just picks it up and starts eating it that way too. But like, you could tell that was a scene they had fun doing, which is why I think that stands out to me, and I like that.
I also love the little scene in the carriage where she's like, "Why are you making fire in your mouth?" And he's confused, and the doctor's like, "Well,
Yeah,
he's from a place without tobacco." And he's like, "Well, that sounds healthy, but boring."
that sounds healthy. No, like I said, there were actually some good interactions to come from that, which I do appreciate. I do think that was good.
Yeah.
But it's just so far and few between. Like, I did not really like Wang-Chiang, or more specifically, Magnus Greel as a villain.
Yeah. I will say, originally, the plan was he was going to be the master. But then
I could see that.
they decided we don't want to do that 2 times in a season, so then he wasn't the master anymore. But yeah, he was going to be the Decayed Master, and then there's like, well, we don't want him to be a twist villain twice in a row. So they came up with Magnus Greel instead.
I'm glad he wasn't a Time Lord, because I liked the idea that he was someone who was so convinced he succeeded in time travel. And while he technically did, he's physical proof that it was a disastrous failure.
Yeah.
The tech side to it all, in terms of like the world building, the time travel, I did like all of that. I did think that stuff was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really a fan of Greel as a villain specifically, and like what he was doing, how he was going about it, and the what was it, the homunculus
Yeah.
was also very strange.
Yeah. It's very, very weird how like little they really established anything about Mr. Sin there.
Yeah.
It's just very briefly, oh yeah, he's just like also from the future. And he's made from a pig, and so he acts out sometimes or something. Just weird.
Very weird. Very weird. Jago was funny, at the very least. His cowardice was funny. I really liked how he wanted to be someone that was heroic, someone that was helpful, and he was like willing to drop everything to do his best to be so, even though he was mostly all talk.
Yeah.
He was funny, but he was also some of the offenders for some of the racism. Same with Professor Lightfoot, so neither of them were exactly innocent in all of it.
I will say those two characters are so popular that they have a 14-season Big Finish spin-off. Jago and Lightfoot. Yep, they had a lot. The Jago and Lightfoot, they just had their own stories.
Oh my god. I did not know that.
Like, I think they're kind of entertaining characters in this story, but I don't know if I would want that much of those two characters.
Oh my god, yeah, Jago and Lightfoot, series 1, 2, 3. Oh my god.
And they only stopped making them because one of the actors passed away. So they probably would have kept going.
What the hell? That's crazy.
And yeah, they meet, I think they meet the Sixth Doctor at some point in there. There is also a River Song story where she meets Magnus Greel. I think, like, while he's still in the future.
That makes sense. Yeah.
They've done a lot with these characters. I think, like, just like the base story of this is just, you know, it's an alien, or it's a future warlord coming back and pretending to be a god. And I feel like that would be more impactful if we hadn't already done that, like, 4 times in the past season. You know, we had Pyramids of Mars already. We had Mask of Mandragora. Face of Evil is kind of similarly the same idea, and it's, you know, I don't think it really comes across as a special story to me when we've already seen this being done without the racism.
Yeah. Wow, I'm actually like so baffled. I did not know Jago and Lightfoot were this beloved that they had. This is like more than most companions get.
Yeah.
Like I'm so blown away by this. I did not know about this. There's a legacy tied to this story, a massive one. Like they rival the amount of content that River Song has.
Yeah. And then after both of the actors passed away, they also had in the Christmas special for this year on Big Finish, they had a story that like wrapped up some of the storylines from that spin-off.
That's fun.
Where like basically Jago and Lightfoot have like their own companion, and then they told the story about that character, since they can't do Jago and Lightfoot themselves anymore.
My thought process on it is, if they took the time to make them better characters and not they can't literally go on screen and apologize for the racism, but if they put in the work to better the characters, then I think it's respectable.
Yeah. I think it's mostly just a matter that like the actors were willing to come back, and well, people like the story, so maybe if we just bring back the characters and just don't have them saying racist stuff, then it's fine.
That might help.
Just tone down the racism that they had in this story, and you can make them better characters. I did like the bit where Jago is like so happy to be working with the police when it's just the doctor, and the doctor's not actually police.
And he's like making up all these stories, like, oh, I'm so convinced he probably solves all their cases for them.
Yeah, I did find it funny how he's like, he solves all the cases for them because like we all know cops are worthless and they don't do anything right.
So funny. He's so two-faced, but in like a very humorous way. Like,
yeah,
there were definitely things to like about this story. Like, honestly, there were, but it was just so seeped in its problems, so seeped in its racism that it's affected like every element of the story. That it's like it's so hard to look positively at this story, you know. It was a chore to get through this one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I had no drive to keep going through all 6 episodes.
Yeah. I will also note that Mr. Sin was played by an actor by the name of Deep Roy, and he is, I think, like the only actor who has been in Doctor Who and Star Wars and Star Trek.
Oh.
Because in Star Wars he played, like he was in costume normally, but he's, he has dwarfism, so he was actually in like the Mr. Sin costume.
I see.
You might recognize him as he was all the Oompa Loompas in the 2005 version of Charlie and Chocolate Factory. That's his most recognizable, like you would recognize his face from.
Yeah, I see.
Because normally he's in costumes and stuff.
Yeah, like really strong costumes. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense.
Like in Star Wars, he was like one of the band members in Jabba's palace, I think. Mm-hmm. And apparently, originally, Leela was supposed to leave at the end of this season. So I don't know how her exit would have been done, but originally she was only contracted on for this season, and then the new producer comes in and asks her if she would like to stay longer.
How would they have done
that? I guess
this
maybe
was the end of the season. That's right.
Yeah, maybe she would have just like stayed behind and just like she was kind of getting along with Lightfoot, so maybe she would just stay behind and been taught how to live here.
That would not have been nice, because she didn't want to do that.
Yeah. Apparently Tom Baker was not a fan of Leela and was hoping that she would be written out. Because he thought she was too violent for the show. And he also apparently wanted to do stories without a companion.
Oh, so he really likes that Deadly Assassin story then.
Yeah.
Did he not get along well with Louise Jameson?
I don't know. I don't know about that one. I think it was mostly just he didn't like the character. I don't know about the actor.
Mm-hmm.
And then Louise Jameson was reluctant. No, I did have it written here that Louise Jameson was initially reluctant to continue, mainly because of her frosty relationship with Baker, is how it was put on TARDIS Wiki. But then also because she's wearing brown contact lenses right now, and she really doesn't like wearing them. So in the next story, her eye color is going to change.
Oh my god.
They had to write a scene into the next story so that she can just have her regular eye color now.
That's funny.
And another note I had here is when the Doctor speaks Chinese, he's actually not saying anything. They didn't bother to actually teach him a line of Chinese.
Of course
It's
not.
just mangled nonsense. So, they didn't really try that hard.
Didn't they do it with 3 though? Didn't they literally have...
Yeah, the third Doctor did do that in...
The third Doctor literally had a scene where he actually spoke other languages, and they taught him the actual like the phrase in the language. Yes, I remember talking about that.
Yeah, behind the scenes, John Pertwee was like taught how to speak that, I believe.
Oh my god!
And then they didn't bother here, which sure tells you the priorities of making this story.
That says so much, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So the actress or Leela didn't get along with Tom Baker that much then?
Yeah, I guess not.
That is unfortunate.
I feel like he didn't get along with a lot of people, unfortunately.
It does kind of seem like Elizabeth Sladen was the only one.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does get married to Romana's actress, but then they
That's
get
true.
divorced, and then they never talk to each other again, so... he gets along with Romana's actress for part of the time. Although I guess they get married after they leave the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. There's clearly a lot going on behind the scenes for them. And Tom Baker may be a great Doctor, but it does sound like the fame of it got to his head, and he became a bit of a jerk.
In his older years, he's definitely gotten a bit more normal about it, I feel. Mm-hmm. Like, he appreciates the fame now instead of it going to his head.
Yeah, that's
in
good.
his later years. Yeah, there were, like, some nice scenes in the story, but it was, there's a lot that I didn't like about it.
Yeah. What about the season as a whole, though? We probably, should look back on season 14 as a whole, because, this was the end of the season, so there's quite a bit here in this season, and it really covered a lot of ground, to be honest. Like, we still had Sarah Jane at the start, so...
I would say, like, the first half of this season I really loved, and then, like, Face of Evil and Robots of Death I still enjoyed, but I would say, like, the first 3 stories were... Well, especially, like, Hand of Fear and Deadly Assassin. They were the highlights.
Yeah. Can't forget we had a little bit of that fruit in Mask of Mandragora.
Yep. Then the Hand of Fear villain is gender fluid, sort of.
Yeah. This was the season for the gays, clearly.
Yep.
No. In all honesty, I thought this was a good season with a really rough end. In part because it just doesn't really feel like an end to the season, although it's the longest story in the season. That's a shame. I think this season, for specifically Tom Baker, I think is better than the previous season.
Yeah. We definitely got a lot more of his whimsy in this season, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's very important. Because we had like a whole discussion about how it really felt like it was missing in the previous season.
Yeah. And this is also, just to note that this is the end of Philip Hinchcliffe's era as the producer.
Mm-hmm.
Our next producer is Graham Williams, who will do, I think he does 3 seasons? Yeah, he does 3 seasons. And his idea is he wants to inject a lot more comedy into the show.
Oh, good.
So Philip Hinchcliffe wanted to make it darker, and then Graham Williams wanted to make it lighter.
You gotta strike a good balance, perhaps, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Robert Holmes stays on as script editor for the first half of the next season as well, and then he leaves. because he wanted to just leave with Philip Hinchcliffe because Philip Hinchcliffe got fired, and he's just like, well, maybe I should leave too. But then the new producer just convinced him to stay on for a few more stories. But yeah, I enjoyed the season overall. It definitely ends poorly, but
Yeah.
before the ending, it was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree. And it does have me looking forward to the next season because I'm pretty sure the next season's a full season with Leela. So
Yeah.
we'll see if she grows into the role more. We'll see if they work together better or not. We'll see how all that goes. But
It is
I've
also
liked her so far. So
it's worth noting that Louise Jameson has talked about how when she got her scripts, she was like there were always points in the scripts where she was supposed to scream, and she just kept writing it out of the script because she's like Leela would never do that.
yeah,
The only time she let them do it was in Talons of Weng-Chiang when she's being attacked by the giant rat. That's the
because
only
I think
scream
that's
she
a
does.
valid reason.
Yeah, she's like that's the only time I thought it was valid because
Yeah.
she's a warrior. She wouldn't scream in terror.
Yeah, that one would be more so in pain, which makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, Leela's a fun character so far. And
Yeah,
I'm looking
I do
forward
like
to see. Apparently, Talons of Weng-Chiang is the only time where she's not wearing her tribal outfit though, so she goes back
That's
into it.
kind of funny. She was like, no, that hindered me. I'm staying in this. All right,
Yeah.
that's pretty silly. I like when the companions change outfits depending on when they are, so that's a little disappointing. But I guess
Yeah.
since she's a warrior, that's up to her in this case if she wants to sacrifice that mobility.
Yeah. It
Well,
is also worth noting that when this season first aired, they did take a 6-week break in the middle of the season, sort of like what they did, like with the 11th Doctor seasons. So, Deadly Assassin aired in November, and then they took 6 weeks, and then Face of Evil was in January 1st
huh?
of
Okay,
77. This was like the first time, I think, where they took like a long break in the middle of a season.
I see. Interesting.
I feel like Deadly Assassin would be like that's a fun way to end it for a few weeks and just make
Yeah.
people sit with that for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Better than doing it in the middle of a story. Also,
Yeah. But yeah, I think season 14 was good overall.
yeah, I agree. I think aside from the finale, quote unquote, it
Yeah.
was honestly a pretty good time.
I kind of wish I could see what people liked about Talons of Weng-Chiang so much, but yeah.
Same. I mean, I guess Diego and Professor Lightfoot are mostly it since they kept
Yeah.
coming back in audio for a long time. But you know what? I'm optimistic that those are at least fun.
Yeah.
And
I
better
don't
than
think
the
I'm
story.
tempted to check them out though.
Yeah, I don't really feel tempted to check them out. I will. It's more of a I'll take people's word on it if they're actually good and handles
Yeah.
them better than they did here. But well, I think that covers these episodes and our overall views on season 14. But there is a little bit of news to talk about if you would like to inform us on that, Joy.
Yep. So the Eighth Doctor movie was announced to be getting a remastered 4K Blu-ray release, where they went back to the original film reels and they remastered it. So that's, I don't know when they last did that, but you know it's nice to have that.
It's exciting too at the fact that I heard the day it went up, it sold out everywhere, like all the pre-orders too. So there's
Yeah.
a demand for it. That's a good sign because I don't
Yeah.
think that's happened with any of the other like Doctor Who like Blu-ray releases.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll need it like next year, but I mean there are other ways to watch it already.
Yeah,
There are
Maybe a
older
nice way to
releases.
watch it when we get to it.
Yeah, I find it a little funny how like on the box art it looks like the Eighth Doctor is like behind like broken glass, and I'm like, you should have done that for the Seventh Doctor who's on the back. Like the Seventh
Yeah.
Doctor is the one who gets shot in the story.
Yeah, that would make a little bit more sense, wouldn't it?
It's also funny that for the trailer for it they just had Sylvester McCoy do it and not Paul McGann.
A little
Paul
strange.
McGann's the
to
main
be
character
honest,
in the story, but you got Sylvester McCoy to do the voiceover for the trailer.
Sylvester McCoy probably just has one of those voices that's just like better for that. Because Paul
Yeah, I guess.
McGann is a really cool guy, but I feel like a trailer narration for him would sound a lot more dramatic and like he's brooding a little bit.
Yeah, I guess. And they want
Whereas
more fun.
Sylvester McCoy can bring fun whimsy. Yeah, he sounds like a cartoon character kind of thing. So
Yeah. I will note that Big Finish also announced that the first Doctor is meeting up with Polly in their next story.
oh,
Where
okay.
they've been doing, older versions of the companions. They did one for Vicky, they did one for Steven, and now they're doing one for
Yeah.
Polly. Which
Okay.
is, I just think it's, like, everybody was expecting the third one to be Susan, but it's
Yeah.
Polly instead. Especially because it's a bit odd to have the first Doctor meet Polly when he's still traveling with Dodo, so he doesn't know Polly yet. And they're having their reunion, and the first Doctor's not going to recognize her. That's going to be weird, but I mean, it's nice to bring back the character. And then the Dodo in that story is going to be an older Dodo as well.
How does that? So he's not traveling with her then at that point. Then.
Well, what they've been doing for these stories is that, like, before the Vicky story, the Doctor was being, like, abducted by the Time Lords. It's, like, kind of implied
yeah.
that maybe this is, like, him being pulled into the Three Doctors and he's just having pit stops along the way, sort of thing. So, like, he is
Okay.
still traveling with Dodo, but, like, the Dodo that he's traveling with hasn't been with her for these last couple stories. Because he's been pulled away by the Time Lords, and he's seemingly going to get to the Time Lords at the end of this one, sort of thing.
Okay. Little messy, but okay.
Yeah, it's a bit messy.
Guess
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I guess we'll see how that goes. That's
That comes
strange
out
for that to be
next
so
month, I think.
messy now, but
Yeah. And it is nice that
maybe they'll make it work. Timey wimey.
Annika Wills is back for it, and I don't think she's done Big Finish for a few years, so
Oh, okay.
it's nice to have her back.
Yeah.
I feel like that story's going to be sad, though, because obviously they're going to have to deal with the fact that Ben's not there.
Yeah.
And we know why he's not there. It's because the actor passed away, like, 30 years ago.
There's only so much they could do though for telling the Doctor when it's before he's really met them though. So
Yeah. Because, like, they're mostly with the second Doctor, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to me that they didn't do a Susan one. Maybe that's just because, like, the Susan has met the Doctor so many times in Big Finish.
That's true. Susan's met the Doctor so many times, and it might also be because of the uncertainty with her coming back into the show. They don't want to step on that too much right now.
Yeah, I guess. Although I think they did recently announce that, like, there's another Eighth Doctor and Susan story coming, so
Oh, I don't know that.
I don't know. It might just be because, like, older Susan typically is with the Eighth Doctor now, so
Huh.
maybe it's a bit
oh,
messy
yeah, I guess
to
that's fair.
make the
Time
first
Lords
Doctor
coming back
meet her.
together. Yeah. Time Lords coming back together for the Time War and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if an older Susan met up with the first Doctor, she would have to explain the Time War to him. That's complicated.
Yeah, that would be complicated. That's not one he should really hear too much about.
Yeah. Yeah, that comes
Well-
out next month, and I'm looking forward to it.
That should be interesting, though. Well, as a reminder, if you'd like to join us on this journey through Classic Who, we have our Patreon. If you support us at just $1 a month at our passenger tier, you'll get access to our Discord, and you'll get to join in on some discussions between episodes about what we're watching, and of course, early access to these episodes. Or if you join us at $5 a month at our companion tier, you'll be able to watch live as we record. We have a little side chat, and you can tell us you completely agree about how racist the end of season 14 is, because I'm not going to come up with some retort on that one.
Yep.
So, Joy, would you like to let everyone know how to prepare for next episode, where we start season 15?
So our next episode, we will be watching Horror of Fang Rock and The Invisible Enemy. Horror of Fang Rock is interesting in that it's the only appearance of the Rutans, who are like the mortal enemies of the Centaurans that they keep mentioning that they're at war with.
The
I don't think the
only
Centaurans
appearance.
appear in it. So this is the only time we ever see Rutans in the show.
Wow.
But they're not in a war with the Centaurans at the moment. And then the invisible enemy is when we get to meet K9. That'll be
Alright.
fun.
K9 Mark 1, I presume, since it's the first
Yeah.
K9.
K9 Mark 1 is with us for this season, and then I think after this season, it's K9 Mark 2 until
Okay.
when he leaves at. Like, he leaves, like, a few episodes before the Fourth Doctor does.
Mm.
But he's with us for most of the remainder of the Fourth Doctor era. I think Mark
That should
1
be fun.
leaves with Leela, and then Mark 2 leaves with Romana, is how it works.
Oh, okay. That checks out.
And then Mark 3 is Sarah Jane's. And and then she gets a Mark 4 later.
Yeah, I suppose we'll find that. We'll find out more about that later on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting K9.
Yeah, me too. That should be fun, and we get to meet him next time. We'll have. I'm sure we'll have a lot to say on that.
And it's funny with K9 where I think in season 17 like the voice actor quit, so he has a different voice for a season.
Oh, that's really silly, actually.
Because the voice actor was tired of the character and then just like, well, we don't have to write the character out of the show. We can just give him a different voice. And then for season 18, he was convinced to come back because he was told, we'll kill him off for you. And then they didn't kill him off in the end.
Wow.
He was convinced to come back by being promised that they would kill him, and then they didn't. But yeah, he comes back for
That's
season 18.
so funny. That's so funny. Well, as a reminder, you can make sure to watch The Horror of Fang Rock and The Invisible Enemy before our next episode, so you can meet K9 with us. You can
Yep.
find those on the BBC iPlayer or on the Doctor Who Classic YouTube channel. And again, if you support us on Patreon for just $1 a month, you'll gain access to our Discord and early access to these episodes. I have been Tris. You can find me on most socials at ToonTris.
And I've been Joy. You can find me at Joy Content.
And we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Hi.